plates work. For years, people used tracks to determine presence of species, avoiding trapping and handling animals. But can you do this to determine the presence of a particular rodent in a landscape full of other rodent species? In 2014, the New Mexico meadow jumping mouse was listed as endangered under the Endangered Species Act. The animal is at risk because of habitat loss and modification. New Mexico meadow jumping mice use riparian areas with tall, dense, herbaceous vegetation, primarily grasses and forbs. They also use upland areas for nesting. Jumping mice are found in only 8 geographical management areas in the southwestern United States, so their populations are fragmented and at risk of stochastic events such as drought, flooding, and wildfire. This unusual rodent spends most of its life underground, hibernating 8 to 9 months per year. Jumping mice are active during summer months, so they only have 3 to 4 months to breed, give birth, raise young, and build enough fat reserves to survive the next hibernation period. Researchers have been live trapping the jumping mouse for years to better understand their life history and habitat use. But with live trapping comes the risk of injury to animals. So in 2015, we began experimenting with a non-invasive method to detect the presence of the jumping mouse. Fortunately, unlike their conspecifics, jumping mice have unique feet and toes, so they are readily distinguishable from deer mice and voles. We created a reference guide for rodent tracks that confirms the unique footprints of the jumping mouse. We are also lucky because geographic ranges of other members of the jumping mouse genus Zapus do not overlap in the Southwest. This video provides a guide to assembling, deploying, and interpreting results of track plates. So let's start with how we build track plates.
Hi, my name is Charlotte Rosansky. I'm one of the small mammal technicians on the project, and I'm going to tell you about all the materials you need to build a track plate box. So you start with a common plastic shoebox that you can find at nearly any store. This one is 35 by 21 centimeters. And to start, you need to cut holes for the mammals to come in on each side. They're about 5 by 5 centimeters on each side. And then you also need to drill holes in the bottom of the lid, and this is for water to drain out if it rains. The next material necessary is clear transparent contact paper, which is sticky on one side and it peels off on the other side. And the first thing you need to do is cut it so that it can fit the bottom of the lid. And when it's cut to the right size, it looks like this. The size that you need to cut the contact paper to is 11 by 6 inches, and it'll be taped down to the bottom of the lid like this. The next material we need to prepare is the ink for the felt pads that's going to be placed at the center of each track plate. To prepare the ink, you need to have 1 part of powdered carpenter's chalk to 1.5 parts mineral oil. The next material that we need to prepare is the felt pad, which is going to be soaked in the ink. The size of the felt pad is approximately 6 inches by 2 inches, placed at the center of the track plate, and these are soaked in either a bag or a box with all of the ink and mineral oil. The last thing we need to make a proper track plate is roofing felt cut to dimensions that will be slightly larger than the track plate box, which is approximately 12 by 19 inches. And the purpose of this is to prevent water from entering the track plate and ruining any of the tracks.
It doesn't take a lot to build these, and the materials are easy to find. Carpenter's chalk comes in dark colors, and that's what we tend to use, primarily red and black. Once you have all the materials, here's how to assemble a fully functional track plate.
My name is Mackenzie Hart and I am a small mammal technician. With me here I have a track plate. This is the typical box setup with the top and the bottom where we place the tracks. To do this, I'll take a sheet of paper and some tape. Stick the double-sided tape onto the bottom part. And then on top of that, I will put the contact paper. So once you have the top peeled off, you'll place an ink pad on here. This is where the animals walk and will get ink on their feet. And then next to that and on top of that, we will place bait, which is peanuts and oats. And once that's complete, you place the top back on. And then you have a complete track plate. The animal will come in through these holes that we have cut out of the box. And then they go and look for the bait and then hopefully sit on the pad and then walk around on the contact paper.
Our objectives were to survey for jumping mice in areas of potential habitat. Because jumping mice are found along riparian areas, we wanted to place our traps close to streams or rivers.
My name is Rosario Marroquin Flores. I am on the small mammal crew and small mammal technician. We've been building track plates out here. We're near the San Antonio Springs. On each site we have 80 traps, and we place 2 on the left, 2 on the right, all the way down the stream, about 3 to 5 meters apart. So we're looking primarily at completely in riparian areas. Yeah, and then we just try to find places that are actually in the riparian area before the ecotone, and then in places where you can lay them flat and where they're not at risk of flooding with the monsoon.
Placement of the track plates will depend on study objectives. We used 80 track plates along riparian areas to detect jumping mice in each trap location. However, track plates can be used with different spacing and placed in whatever vegetation types best meet your design. The track plates should be checked daily because multiple visits by animals can create overlapping footprints. This can make jumping mouse track identification difficult or impossible. Track plates that have not been visited by animals don't need to be replaced. If tracks are evident, it's time to change the contact paper and replace the bait. Replace the felt ink pads about once a month because they get that rodent smell. Also, remove any old food to prevent it from molding in the track plate.
Hi there, my name is Matt Parker. I'm part of the NAU's small mammal trapping crew. After we pull the tracks off the track plate, typically what we'll do is attach it to a sheet of white paper and slide it into one of these sleeves. All we have to write for information is the site name. So this is the Seven Springs site, but we just number it as number 8. The date and the location of the track plate. So for example, this is number 68. This is a contact paper that does have Zapus. We see little tracks going here and here.
We place the plastic sleeves with track plates in a binder dedicated to each trap site. We created a reference library of small mammal tracks in the field when we were live trapping animals. Reference animals include deer mice, voles, woodrats, cougars, and jumping mice. We discovered it was relatively easy to identify the unique tracks of the jumping mouse. And just kidding about the cougar.
I'm Jill Pfeiffer. I'm a crew leader and small mammal technician. When we approach a trap, it is very obvious whether or not Zapus hudsonius luteus has visited that track plate. Their footprints are very distinct from any other small mammal that goes into our track plate. We are looking for their hind feet. 3 of the fingers leave a mark on our track plates usually. Sometimes there's a 4th finger that goes off to the side. The entire footprint is about 15 millimeters long. Other species' footprints lack long toe markings. The only thing that might be confused with a Zapus footprint is when we see long lines, which look like possibly toes. However, those lines are parallel, and the footprint of the Zapus has 3 toes going different directions. Other lines could be caused by other species slipping or by a tail dragging through the ink and then dragging across the track plate.
In the field, personnel score presence or absence of jumping mouse tracks as the track plates are collected. Back in the office, 2 additional independent reviewers evaluate all track plates. For a jumping mouse track to count as present on the site, all 3 reviewers must be in agreement that the track is, in fact, from a jumping mouse. While this track plate approach can't be used to distinguish all small mammals, it works well in the Southwest for the jumping mouse because of the unique structure of their fore and hind feet, and because it is the only Zapus species present. In comparing track plate surveys to live trapping, there are benefits and drawbacks to each technique. With live trapping, an animal in hand can be positively identified to species. However, there is always a risk of injury or mortality. Track plates don't put the animal at risk, but not every animal that enters leaves an identifiable track. With live trapping, traps are checked at dawn and closed, then reopened at dusk. This schedule can be tough on field crews and increases risk of fatigue-related accidents. Track plating offers a more humane schedule since traps can be checked any time of day. In addition, all live traps must be examined by mid-morning, so survey sites must be physically close enough that traps are checked in a timely fashion. When working in riparian areas, flooding can put animals captured in live traps at risk. Track plates can withstand flooding, and animals can easily exit before rising water presents a risk. Track plates can be used in areas where live trapping may not be an option, for example, in high-use recreation areas. And finally, track plates are less than half the cost of live traps. Depending on your objectives, track plates can't always replace live trapping, but when looking for presence of this endangered subspecies, track plates are a safe, quick, and efficient method.